Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is episode 223 of the world famous University Love podcast, also known as Online Marketing Moves. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, this is the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies, okay? We're coming to you live today. Today is Tuesday, March the 9th. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss branding. Branding. Say that 3 times, okay? But anyway, we are going to talk about branding on a global scale, on a national scale, and on a regional scale. And you can apply this to anywhere you live. Now, the subject matter I'm going to talk about today is baseball. Okay, so if you know anything about baseball, you know there are a couple teams that are pretty well known, and most of the teams are sort of blase. Okay, so the first team we are going to discuss in the global. Now, when I say global, I mean worldwide. Everybody knows if you just see a logo, you know, everybody knows Apple, everybody knows Microsoft, everybody knows what are other products that people probably know, you know, Toyota, things of that nature, you know. So if you just see a symbol, a logo, then you know, oh, okay, ooh, you know, I know this brand, and it goes across the country. You know, it goes across the world. You know, continent to continent. You know the brand. Okay, McDonald's would be an example of another worldwide brand. So I'm discussing baseball because I like baseball, and baseball season's upon us. And so the first team we're going to discuss is the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees is probably the only team that if you go from different country to different country, if you walk around with the New York Yankees hat, people would recognize it. You know, the Yankees are up there with other teams as, as far as global brands. Like I I enjoy soccer. I don't know about you, but I enjoy watching the football. And my favorite team is Manchester United. Manchester United is a global brand. Okay, you know they struggled the last few years. They haven't won a whole lot, but they are still a global brand. Okay, so the Yankees are on par with that. Just because the Yankees, they have been in, people in movies, they have wore Yankees hats. They have won so many times. And the Yankee brand is about excellence. The Yankee brand is about championships. It's about greatness. It's about the players. It's about from Babe Ruth to Lou Gehrig to Derek Jeter. The Yankees have had some of the greatest players in baseball history on their team. Okay, so this is the brand of the Yankees. When you think about the Yankees, you think about class. You think about excellence. You think about championships. You think about winning. So that is the Yankee brand, and it is global. Okay, you see people worldwide. If somebody wears the hat and they go, "Oh, Yankees," if you tell somebody you're from America in baseball, and the first thing they probably say is the Yankees, because if you don't live in the United States, if you live in another country, there's two cities that people you know can tell you about: New York and California. Okay, that's it. Nobody's thinking about Montana. Nobody's thinking about North Dakota, South Dakota. New York, California. So the Yankees are part of New York. You know, when you think of New York, you think about Manhattan. You know, you think about it's well for me. I am married to a woman who grew up, right across the river from New York. So she has put in my head 1,000 things about New York. So, but when I was young, I thought about the Yankees. I thought about different movies, Woody Allen movies. I thought about, Billy Crystal. You think about Madison Square Garden. You think about Manhattan. You think about Broadway. Those are the sort of things you think about when you think about New York. Okay, so the Yankees are on a scale. They're on a global brand. So that's their brand. Excellence, championships, winning. And one thing about when it doesn't have to. You don't have to. One thing I want to tell you about when you're starting off, online or whatever you do, when you're starting off, don't you don't necessarily have to have you don't necessarily need to just start trying to brand yourself. Sort of let it come as it let it let it happen, let it let it happen. Just don't try to overthink about the whole branding thing. I know we all want to market ourselves and everything like that, but you just want to start going. We talk about this before. You want to just start going. And then the branding, the marketing, everything else will start falling in line. I mean, keep it in mind, get some thoughts, get some ideas, write stuff down, but you don't have to just necessarily, how do I brand myself? How do I brand myself? Let it happen. Let it happen. Let it come to you. Let it come to you. Okay. Now, another team in baseball that people know on the national level, they might not know it in England, they might not know it in Germany, Russia, and they might not know it in South Africa. But here in the United States, we know this team very well, and it is the Chicago Cubs. And the Chicago Cubs, their brand is not about winning. The Cubs, they finally won a World Series in 2016 after 107 years of not winning. The Cubs, my dad, he's one of the biggest Cub fans you'll ever meet. And so I grew up a big time Chicago Cubs fan. So me and my dad, we would sit around every summer. From the time I was 6 or 7, we would sit around and watch the Cubs. And the Cubs was about having fun. They lost a lot of games. You hear me? They lost a lot of games, but we were always entertained. We always had a good time. We always walked away from the game like, hey, even though the Cubs lost, I'll tell you what, we had fun. My dad, he would have his beer. I would eat popsicles, and we would listen to the great Harry Carey, one of the more colorful announcers that you can ever imagine. If you don't know who Harry Carey is, please look up Harry Carey and listen to some of his calls in baseball games. Harry Carey made the game exciting. Me and my dad, we've never been to. Well, we've seen. I'll take that back. We've seen the Cubs play, but we never been to Chicago to watch the Cubs in person. But Harry Carey made you feel like you were right there at the game watching. They would lose 100 games, 90 games. They would be in last place, next to last. They had a few years of winning, but most of the time we knew, the Cubs. It was about the fun. It was about the atmosphere. It's about that. It's more of a party than anything. People would hit home runs outside the stadium onto the street, and then people would run to the ball, grab the ball, throw it back over. So the Cubs are a national team. Everybody in America knows the Cubs. They're like lovable losers or something like that. But their brand was more about fun, having a good time, going to the game. Knocking back a few beers, enjoying some laughs. Everybody had a good time. It was always a sellout, even though they lost a lot of games. So, and that is the Cubs. That is their brand. And it's funny when the Cubs actually in 2003, the Cubs, they won the division. I don't want to get too deep into it because I know some of you might not be baseball fans, but the Cubs won the division. They were one game away from going to the World Series. And I remember me and my dad. My dad, he was one excited man. I was excited too at the time. I was still into the Cubs. And of course, they didn't win. And then after that, like the next few years, it wasn't as fun because then they got that close to the World Series, and then it wasn't as fun because people, the fans, they started to take the Cubs real serious. It's like, come on, guys, we're the same fans. We know what the Cubs are about, But eventually they won, and we had a nice time. We celebrated. I talked to my dad on the phone for an hour, but that was the Cubs, lovable. You know what you got. The Cubs have been shown in a few movies. One of the movies I can remember is about a kid. He got into an accident, and then all of a sudden his arm was like super fast. I think it was called The Rookie. And they had the whole movie, and he was in the Chicago Cubs uniform. So the Cubs have been seen on TV numerous times. They've been in a few movies. You have some celebrities that enjoy the Cubs. But now we are going to talk about a team that is a regional team, and they are not. Some people, you have to be a real baseball fan to really know this team, and that is from my home state, the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay, now the St. Louis Cardinals are a excellent baseball organization. I can't take that away from them. They are very excellent. The Cardinals, they don't win every year, but they don't stink. They're not the They are, as far as winning, they don't win as often as the Yankees, but they do win. They definitely are not the Cubs. They do not lose every year. The Cardinals are a very solid organization, and they've had some great players as well. But the Cardinals are more of a regional team. Now, if you ever come to Missouri, if you ever come to the great state of Missouri, especially on the eastern side of Missouri where I grew up, they love the Cardinals. It's a love fest. People listen to you turn on the radio, sit on your porch at night, and you sit back and you listen to the Cardinals games. So the Cardinals have a very regional feel. It's growing up in Missouri, it was like, this is our team. This is us. We are the Cardinals, blue collar, hard working, sort of Midwestern, folksy. That was the Cardinals. That was their brand. But the Cardinals, even though they're not as well known, they still are successful. And see, that's the whole thing about branding. That's the whole thing about doing things online. You might not get 10 million followers, you might not get 8 million followers, but none of that matters. Okay. The brand you put out, the quality you put out, those are the more important things. The most important thing that you can do is it's up to you. Where do you want to go? Do you want to be do you want to be well known? Do you want to be, global? Do you want to be national? Do you want to be, regional? But what you must do, because like I told you, you don't have to come out day one and just be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be this global brand. You never how, how can you tell us, the people, most of the time, the customers will decide, what, where you stand at. And it's not a big deal. The most important thing that you can do is give people quality, you know, give good customer service, and everything else will take shape. Some people don't have you know, I know myself. I'm probably not gonna be a global brand. I got a sneaky feeling. I'm gonna have customers. I'm gonna have, quality people on my email list. I'm gonna have quality people buying from me. I'm gonna put out material, books, things like that. And I'll probably I'm probably more on the lines of a regional kind of fella. Like I know myself. I know who I am. I'm gonna be satisfied with I don't need to make I'm not looking to make $20 million a year online. I'm looking to make six figures. If I break into the, million, 2 million, 3 million, great. That's beautiful. But for me, I'm more into hey, I'm here to make enough money. I'm here to make money, but I'm also here to enjoy my wife. I'm here to enjoy my child. I'm more for the freedom, the time freedom more than the money freedom. So I don't need to be a national brand. So you have to think about, what do you want out of the situation? And then again, I'll tell you a story. I listened to this interview. I don't know if you know the rapper Nelly, okay? And apparently Nelly, he started off in a group called the Saint Lunatics. And he said for 3 years they tried to, they tried to for 3 years they tried to get a record deal, but it wasn't working. So one day, a guy pulled him to the side and said, "Hey, man, you, you got it. You got the juice. You got the mojo. You are a star. So we need to get you going first, and then them other guys can come along." And so Nelly said he didn't like the idea at first, but then he said he went out and did some songs, and his song took off, and Nelly became a big star, and he did what he said he was gonna do. He brought his friends with him. He brought his, you know, the rap group with him. And then now, fast forward 20 years later, some of the people in the group are complaining that Nelly, shut them down, shut them out. But like he said, hey man, I put them guys in the position to take advantage of the opportunity that we had. If they didn't do it, it's not my fault. So I say that to say sometimes it's not, sometimes you have to, if you have to know yourself, okay? Like sometimes you are it's like if you go to Hollywood, you know, if you go to Hollywood, you say, hey, I want to be actor. I want to be Brad Pitt, Some of us are not going to be Brad Pitt. That's just how it is. Some people are going to be character actors. Some people are going to, sometimes they're going to star in movies, sometimes they're not going to star in movies. Sometimes they're going to do both. They're going to be a hybrid. And some people are going to be stars, some people are going to be, middle stars, and some people are going to be character actors. It's nothing wrong with that. You're still doing what you want. You're still doing something that you love. You just might not be where you want to be, but you take the road that they give you, and you make the best out of it. I heard LeBron James talking to these kids, and he said it doesn't matter, who you are. He said people in high school, because everybody in the NBA is the top 1%. Okay, like don't get it twisted. You see these guys, you know, soccer, basketball. You see these guys sitting on the bench, those guys, and then we as fans, I'm watching basketball. I'm like, they paying this guy $5 million. All he does is sit on the bench. This guy would beat me 100-0 every time if I played him in basketball. My basketball skills, I got it to junior high. I played 7th and 8th grade, and that was my peak. Okay, that was it. So I know a guy on the bench in the NBA. He's in the top 1%. A person like LeBron James is the top 1% of the 1%. Okay. And sometimes it's just about the different opportunities that are thrust upon you. It's not a big deal if you don't make it to the I don't got 10 million followers. It's like, don't worry about that. The most important thing that you want is, to break all this down, global brands, regional brands, national brands. I'll tell you a quick story too before we get going. I remember Pamela Anderson. If you remember Pamela Anderson at the time in the middle 90s, early 90s, she was on Baywatch. She was like one of the most popular people in the world, and she said she wasn't hardly making any money. She said to be super famous and not make any money is crazy. And I thought, man, it is kind of. And William Shatner said the same thing. He said he was this big time star, and he had zero money. So being recognized on a global scale doesn't mean you're gonna be bringing home the bacon. But what you must do is figure out how to get the sales going. How to get the followers and how to turn all that into a nice income. A monthly income. A residual income. Okay, that is more important than anything. It doesn't matter if you have a million people on your list, but a million people ain't buying nothing from you, and another guy has 1,000 people on their list, and they have 500 people buying from them every month. Then who's looking good? Not you, not the person with a million people on the list. So brands 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 are important. Don't get me wrong. Like you want to establish this. You don't want to be a. You don't want to be. You don't want people to say, hey, this guy puts out crap products. You don't want to be one of these people. You don't want to be a carnival barker, because we got a lot of carnival barkers online, and you know what I'm talking about. People that just scream, shout. You know, I make 20,000. You can make $20,000 just copying videos. Things of that nature. Those are carnival barkers. You don't want to be a carnival barker, because if you ever thought about this, the carnival, the circus, they come into town for a week. Step right up for these games. And the reason why they don't stay very long is why? Because after a while, if you went to the carnival every day for like 6 months, you would figure out that hey, this game is kind of rigged. But for that 1 week, you're like, what the heck? I'm at the carnival. It's because the carnival used to come to my hometown once a year. Once a year they would come. We would play the games. And I was a kid. I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna play this game. They probably had the game rigged. Who knows? You know, they just say, come on, step right up, step right up. They come. Then after a week, they blow out of town. They go to the next town. Get those people money. Those are carnival barkers. And the reason why some people online are carnival barkers is because you'll see them one day. They're like, hey, I made $30,000 doing this, and then that gets shut down by the FCC or something like that. And then they're on to the next scheme and on to the next scheme. And you're just in a vicious cycle of trying to scheme people, all the time, But if you just stay there and you do quality work and you give quality products and you give out quality content, you don't have to worry about running. You don't have to worry about barking. You don't have to worry about that, So sometimes it doesn't matter how big big of a brand as you get, because some brands are big, but they're not that good. But some brands are smaller and they are excellent. So, I just want to put that out there. Like, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to think, you don't have to worry about, you get on the YouTube, you get a nice, what the main thing you want is at the end of the day, brands aside, the main thing you want at the end of the day, you have an email list, you have followers, you have people that, follow you, that, buy from you. You want them to keep coming back to buy more, Because at the end of the day, online internet marketing is you're in the customer service business, okay? So if somebody buys a product for you, you're in affiliate marketing, okay? If somebody buys a product for you, you still want to make sure that they are satisfied with that product. You want to check in every now and then, say, hey, do you like the product? Are you still using the product? You want to do that because I am an affiliate for this program, and every month, if somebody pays, then I get a commission. So the people that pay, I shoot them an email every now and then, hey, how's it going? Are you, what kind of business are you trying to get into? Do you need any help? Do you got any questions? And they respond back and they're like, thanks, yes, I got a question. No, I might not have a question, but it's a rapport. And that's the thing you want to get into. You want to make sure that you are giving out great customer service, because the better you are with the customer service, because there's a lot of there's a lot of people on the internet, so the more you can stand out with the customer service, the better off you will be. And then, of course, as you well know, part of branding, people will say, hey, this guy, he has great customer service. He does this, he does that. And what's better than buying a lead? What's better than buying a lead or having to do an ad to get a lead? Like, all that is good. All that, you need to do that stuff in the beginning. Don't get me wrong. But the best thing that you can get is a referral, because if you get a referral, there's more than a great chance that they're going to buy from you. Okay. Like, if somebody refers you to somebody, they go, hey, this guy, he's good. Like, people will come to my wife's cooking school. They will come and they say, hey, my friend had a birthday party at the school, and she said it was excellent, so I want to sign up. And immediately whip out the credit card, and I'm sitting and I'm like, man, this is this is what I need for my business. Okay. And that's what I want for your business. Like, Brandon, global, regional. I mean, hey, listen, if you could get the world to know who you are, God bless you. Okay. Like, you do. Like, you definitely, because, hey, let's be honest with each other. We both, I know customer service is great and everything like that, but the more eyeballs to see you, the better chance you have of making the money. Now, after that part, the more eyeballs to see you, the better off you are. But at the same time, it's on you after that, at that point. if you become this global person, this outstanding, everybody knows who you are. Now it's on you. It's like, what are you gonna do? How can you serve the world? Okay, so don't get me wrong. I mean, I know we discuss global, national, and regional, but if you got 100 million people that are like, hey, I like that guy, I know this guy, and it's like, all right, let's monetize this 100 million people that know you and like you. I'm just saying, but at the end of the day, you definitely want to give how you can stand out more than anything nowadays, because there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of people lying, there's a lot of shenanigans online. And the best way you can stand out is by giving out quality products and also giving people great customer service. Because I'm only on about 2-3 email lists now. That's another tip from me to you. That's another thing that I've cut back on. When I first started online, I was thinking I was on like 10, 15 email lists. I've cut all that out, because I I am a content producer, like I want to produce content. I'm trying to produce content for other people to see. I don't need to see everybody's content anymore. Like I'm good on that, And so once you get to that place, if you are on a lot of email lists, try to scale it back, because you don't want to get distracted. These people they will keep sending offers and offers, and some days you get frustrated and you're like, well, let me see what this is about. And then some days you do. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to just be militant and just cut everything off, but most of the people they most of the people that send out emails, they're pretty crappy emails anyway. you know I mean, it's not like you're gonna miss out on anything. But some of the people, if they do send out good emails, I would stay on their email list just to read the emails and study them up a little bit. Like we said before, you don't have to copy and paste anybody, but you can always get ideas. You can always get some, you know, some inspiration. There's nothing wrong with that. We are all inspired by something or someone. Okay, so but definitely cut out like if you're on 30 email lists, like don't do that. Like you're just wasting your time and wasting space. All right, so that's it for this episode. We discussed branding. On a national, on a global, national, regional level. Like we said, there's infinite ways for you to be successful online. You just have to sort of start putting the feet, moving the feet, figuring things out and taking it from there. Find a direction that you want to head into and stay in that direction. Okay. Don't veer off the course too much. Don't go to, don't start hopping around a different. Don't go from drop shipping to drop shipping to affiliate marketing to this one to that one. Stick to something for a while and see where it leads you. All right. So I hope this episode helps. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. Okay. As you see, we put these podcasts out on a daily basis. I know we missed yesterday, but I was putting the finishing touches on The Office. Okay. But we come out with these episodes on a daily basis. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Give us a referral for this podcast. We are growing. We're moving along very nicely. And there's also, you can find us go to the Facebook page, like it, follow it, Online Marketing Moves. You can also email the show. Definitely email the show and let me know what you think. Let me know, what are you doing online? I would like to hear from you. It's Tony@onlinemarketingmoves.com. But until tomorrow, we will be back with another episode of Online Marketing Moves. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you then. And as always, everybody, peace.